We're live. Hey guys, it's Teach from Crush This Monster Podcast. Made a little bit of a mistake here. We're supposed to do a recording for tomorrow, and let's just say do an episode tonight, Monday, and didn't really mean to do that, but so if people want to go on tomorrow or whatever, they're more than welcome to. Want to let anyone know next week's episode is going to be a tribute to Tim Mente. Tim passed away on Saturday. This weekend, refresh that this weekend. Much prayers to CJ and the rest of the Mente family. Steve, that was a co-worker for them. And then we're going to have Cameron Miguez with us for next Tuesday's episode. So we're going to go and do that. Once again, sorry about what's the early start going on. But if you guys go to our Crush This and Monster Truck Podcast, myspreadshop.com, go and get some merchandise, t-shirts, stuff like that, and go from there. But once again, we're going to have next week's episode. It's going to be a Tim Mente tribute. And then we're going to go from there. But once again, this is not supposed to be on Monday. So we're always have an episode on Tuesday. So this will be on Tuesday also, but we'll put the audio version on it tomorrow too. It was my mistake. I was supposed to be recording and stuff like that. So I will go ahead and just, repost it on Facebook, stuff like that, for whoever wants to watch it. And go from there. So once again, I do apologize for that. We're going to go ahead and do some videos and stuff like that. And then we'll get Roger Gallagher, the current, the newest addition to the Bigfoot fleet, drove for USA 1, Quadzilla, Bad News, County Mountie, Bootlegger, all sorts of different creations underneath his belt. But I think it's pretty cool that he gets to he got in his career to have two legendary names, brought home 2 additional championships for one legendary name and hopefully another one here this year, but that'd be Rogers. So let's go ahead and get some stuff in. All right, here we go.
This is more than mud. This is hallowed ground, where legends are born, carnage is wrought. The Terrell Jones Memorial Scooby-Doo Fastest of the Fast returns to Sanford, April 7th and 8th. The wildest hill and hole action in the country. Unlimited DOT classes compete, along with the quickest, fastest machines of the fast track and the gnarly nitrous shootout and blown alcohol madness. 2 full days, multiple classes, intense competition. The Terrell Jones Memorial Scooby-Doo Fastest of the Fast. Coming to the Lee County Mud Sports Complex in Sanford, April 7th and 8th. This isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
Hey, welcome. Like I said before, special thanks to Black Back Channel Productions and MTRC, Colby Marshall right there. But hey, Roger, how is it going? This is kind of the first live stream interview that we had with you. We've done the audio one in the past. If anyone wants to go in the archives on our podcast on Spotify and on iTunes, you're more than welcome to hear the interview we had with Roger. We had him on when he was with a points battle against Scott Hartsock, God rest his soul, with Full Throttle Monster Trucks. Man, let's go and talk about how you been. Some crazy news in the last couple months for you. Very, very humbling experience for you. You went from the pure pearl white Chevrolet to its arch nemesis, the big blue Ford from St. Louis, Missouri. Army Armstrong was saying, like back in the day, it's two bears in a closet, one of them's coming out alive. So, man, how humble is it to represent such a legendary name? We all know James Trentina bought the name from Everett Jasmer, and he has settled his situation, and you had for a while. I'll ask you later what got you going to have the name, bootlegger and county mountie. Let's start with that. We're fast forward it. Whatever happened, whatever. Um, so you're on the drawing board. What was the story? What was the vision of those two names for your trucks?
Well, when we started off, actually back before, a lot of people questioned the color of the chassis that we had with the USA One. Well, we decided to build the second truck because we were running the Quadzilla truck. And when we decided to go ahead and build the second truck, we already had the name County Mountie picked out and basically had all the artwork done for the body and everything. So in order to make it work, a lot of people had the typical black chassis and stuff like that. And we wanted to kind of change things up a little bit. So we kind of went with that bronze chassis to go with the scheme of the County Mountie. We just thought it looked better rather than just being a black like everybody else had, just change it up a little bit. Well, then a lot of questions were, people were asking questions, why the bronze chassis when we ended up going with the USA One? But that chassis design, the colors were all picked out and everything, and the artwork was actually already done before we ever had the truck built for the County Mountie. So that's the reason why it was bronze, and everybody started questioning whenever we did the USA One thing, how come you went with the bronze chassis? Well, that was not our original plan. That opportunity come up with Scott Bryant, kind of helped work that deal out with Everett Jasmer at the time. And we decided we'd go ahead and do that to kind of get us a little bit more recognition. And it was a good opportunity for us to run that body and represent, the history of the USA One. Because, we started off with Bigfoot and USA One were the two main trucks to start with.
And then how about bootlegger? Was that always a game plan that changed Quadzilla, or did you always wanted to have County Mountie and Quadzilla?
Well, we had the USA One. I'm sorry, we had the USA One, and then we decided we were going to redo the chassis, that Quadzilla chassis, and then we were trying to come up with some different names just to kind of update and change the names on a few things, because we were running a lot of same shows and stuff, and they, how it is, everybody don't want to see the same trucks there. So we come up with the bootlegger name, and Scott Bryant and I finished up the Quadzilla chassis after we totally revamped that chassis. And we decided to come out with the bootlegger name, and we put it on that chassis is what we did.
Yeah. And so, last year you ran, let's talk about a little bit about the Full Throttle Tour, because that's big news right there. You guys came out with a t-shirt, well, the promoter, and also you got your name is on there a lot. With some good people like Jerry Miguez and Scott Hartsock. Last year, you did a full event, some events. I think 2 years ago you had Mike Wine driving a few of them. The way they do stuff, it seems like it's still that I always have that TNT feel. That ground roots stuff that you would love to see back in like Back Channel Productions or the Monster Blog when they're posting a video from like 1990 and stuff like that. For someone that is interested in going to a show around the east central part of the United States, I guess you would say, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, that general area. What would people look forward to at a Full Throttle event?
J.R. Rouse is the one that puts on the Full Throttle shows, and I mean it's they're good shows. He sets up a nice track. They and obviously you're going to do the basically the wheelie contest, the racing, and then freestyle. They always do the pit party and stuff ahead of time. And I don't think he charges any extra to get in on a pit party or anything like that. That's all included, I believe, in your ticket. But it's a good event. And JR, the tracks are getting better all the time. And they're exciting. They're fun to run. Their shows are fun to run. And there's a lot of good competitors that are, they're running with us week in and week out,
And some people may forget, which, I mean, I remember him, Don Borders, with Mistress. His kids, I guess, are driving, or I need to learn a little bit more about the story behind them, but I think there's a lot of family that do that racing, which is pretty cool. Monkey business, monkey around, those trucks, which I've seen Don's interview with TNN, Motor Madness and stuff like that, and then his trucks. I always love that generation of Monster Jam and monster trucks in general. Was the late '90s to all the way to 2010 type deal. So there's a lot of history right there in general. You had Mike Wine a couple of times driving the truck. I think Ben's son Nick. Right? Correct?
No, that's not actually Ben's son. It's Ben's buddy.
My bad. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. They look a lot alike. A lot of people think they get them confused. They do look a lot alike. But Nick is a buddy of mine. It's from up in Fishers, Indiana, around Indianapolis, and he's friends with me and Ben and Luana and that family there also. Great bunch of people.
And we're talking about actually. I have to say, a lot of people say, a lot posted, which is cool that you have driven both USA 1 and Bigfoot on the same chassis. But we forget that you also had Buffalo Tremor, correct, on one of your trucks too.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is awesome to doing the TNT, unfinished business and stuff like that. I mean, the opportunity of doing that event was awesome. Talk about that event and how you participated in it.
Well, that opportunity come around. I've been pretty lucky with some opportunities come my way, but and we've always tried to capitalize on them. But Michael Harper, that put on that TNT unfinished business, contacted me. I've known Michael for a while, and he contacted me and told me what he was doing. Wanted to know if I wanted to be a part of it, and I said, well, yeah, I would consider doing that. And I asked him, what was he wanting me to do with it? And he was wanting me to run one of the old school truck bodies on my chassis and everything. And it worked out to where when he told me the Tremor truck, we started looking at videos and started looking at the body, the way the body and stuff was laid out, what body it was and what have you. And it fit really well on that the old Quadzilla chassis that Scott and I had revamped. And then it worked out with us getting the vinyl wrap. Luck happened, the people right here in Evansville was able to do the vinyl wrap and stuff for me. And I had, like I said, Nick come down. I think Scott and a couple other buddies of mine were over, and we got the body all mounted and everything. And I was kind of sending Michael Harper pictures and stuff as far as, kind of keeping up to date so he knew exactly what I was doing and what have you. So that it worked out pretty well. We got the chassis and everything put together. I'm sorry, the body and stuff put on that chassis. And it turned out pretty well, I think. We were really pleased with the way it turned out, and got it down there. And Johnny K, that used to drive that truck, we parked down there. We got down there a day ahead of time, and Johnny K called me and said, hey, I'm down here. Are you around? And we'd parked it at the arena, and we'd already gone back to the hotel room. And he was so eager to see it. It was funny because he was just trying to get into the trailer. He said, I'm gonna get into this trailer. It's just got a couple locks on it, you know. Excuse me. So he was teasing me that he was going to cut the locks off of it, but I think he was really happy to see it and excited, and I think it brought back a lot of memories for him, and we were very blessed to have a part of that, you know, that whole show and be a part of that whole organization. And Michael Harper run a great show down there, as far as I'm concerned. A tremendous amount of work and money went into putting on that show, and I think he did an outstanding job doing it.
I have to ask, what was Johnny K's feedback when he drove the truck?
I asked him, I got up there with him, got him all situated in there and everything. And I told him, I said, you know, this thing will run. This is, you know, I don't know what the old school, I had the old school truck, remember, because I had the Bad News truck. So I knew that era of trucks because that's where I started. And when I told him, I said, this is something different. Now you take it, just take your time with it. And I said, it'll run. This truck will run. And because it's got a little bit longer wheelbase, so it's good on straight line drags and stuff like that. But Johnny was, he come back over at that first pass. I said, how'd that feel? And he said, man, that's really nice. So he was, I think he was pleased, and I was glad to see him get to run the truck, and it was exciting. And those guys are actually, him and Chris McBride and them guys, they keep in touch with us. It's amazing how the family kind of grew, you know, with us being down there with them guys. But I think he had a really good time running the truck, and he was very complimentary how the truck turned out and everything. And that made me happy, you know what I'm saying, when somebody comes up to you and says something to you about, you know, the way the truck turned out. And we even went back and had some of the decals. You know, I went as far as getting the original decals as best I could put on the truck. And the local vinyl shop here in town that did that for me, they did all the trimmer name and stuff on the doors. Then there were some decals. Johnny sent me some of the decals to put back on because I was trying to make it as original looking as possible. And he got me what decals he had left over, and then I got some pictures and stuff, and then I actually went and had some other decals made to match the original ones, and then we put them on the truck. So it worked out pretty good, I think.
Man, we'll get back to a little bit more questions here. I got to thank some people. High Octane Coffee, Joey Sylvester over there in Youngstown, Ohio. Go take a look at his stuff right there. Yeah, his place is shut down, but you can still make coffee. And also the one in Canfield, I believe. That's the one that shut down, but the one in Youngstown, you can still get stuff there. So High Octane Coffee Company, go check a look at that. J Concepts, one of the big leaders of RC bodies, tires, you name it. You know, I just got my LMT, some nice King Sling, slings, tires. So go to jconcepts.net for all you needs for awesome Bigfoot merchandise, Bigfoot stuff, and your awesome RC stuff. So once again, Roger, you know, you did that awesome time. And how did the works come about with Bigfoot?
Well, we were doing some shows this past summer and of 2022, and JR with Full Throttle got a hold of me and was asking, you know, he was explaining to me he was trying to get a Bigfoot, you know, wanted to put a Bigfoot in our tour and have them run with us through our whole tour. And I think they have a Bigfoot is so busy. They have a lot of trucks, I think, that may be out of the country and they're tied up with the Hot Wheels stuff and stuff like that. But so he worked out a deal through JR with Bigfoot for us to run that body. And when he asked me about running it, you know, would I consider running another truck? You know, it's kind of the same way Scott Bryant did with the USA One thing. He said, would you run another body on your chassis? And I said, yeah. And depending on who it was or what have you. And then he told me it was Bigfoot. And I said, well, heck yeah, I'd run that. Absolutely. And so he got with all the organization, Bigfoot organization stuff over in St. Louis, and worked out a deal with them. And he told me I was going to be the one running it. And it sounded like they were good with that. So it just kind of worked out in our favor. So we're very, very pleased and blessed to have the opportunity to run, you know, the original monster truck. You know, that's pretty wild as far as I'm concerned. And we're very, very happy to, you know, represent that organization.
So let's clear the air here also, because are you just driving the Bigfoot truck for Full Throttle shows? Or are you actually doing other shows that, you know, Bigfoot may be in the area that that for other promoters, are you representing the foot group in kind of the states as of right now that's not Hot Wheels related?
Right. Well, what the way it is, most of the stuff I'm doing right now is for full throttle monster trucks. But I've talked with Bob Trent and the guys over there, and should they need additional truck somewhere, they're willing, and we're both willing to work together and fill in that opportunity if it comes available.
Okay. All right. So that's good news. If fans are watching that, there's going to be tons of, I guess, ground to cover, I guess, what we would say in the United States, because you have 2 trucks overseas. Hot Wheels is taking over areas. It's pretty cool to, and that Ford body fits perfectly on that chassis. All you need right now, Roger, is a classic Dodge D200, and then you're set. You have all 3 companies. This is a fan in me. So which one's a better version to see out of that? The classic Chevy or that the classic Ford body?
I've only did the 2 shows. Right now, we did the Fort Wayne show. We had an afternoon show, a matinee show there, and then the evening show. I'll know a little bit more about that here in May when we actually get to do an outdoor event where I can really get out there and see a little better. They're both really close to being the same as far as I can see right now. It's a little different because I usually ran the concussion chassis, which was the County Mountie. Did a few shows with the bootlegger chassis, but so it's a little bit of a change there for me as well. But as far as actual vision and work and seeing out the truck and stuff, they're pretty close, I believe.
So USA 1 was on the concussion chassis, Bigfoot's on the Quadzilla chassis.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Correct. So 2 different chassis.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Yep. So now you had a part. So do you still have both chassis, or did you have to part ways with one of them?
We at the moment we still have both of them.
Okay.
The concussion chassis, we do actually have it up for sale. And it's got a lot of the billet parts and stuff like that on it, but we're just in the process of kind of downsizing a little bit. We're just going to get rid of 1 truck, and we chose to get rid of that truck there, mainly because I feel like the chassis that we built is kind of a sentimental thing for me, because that's the one we originally built and everything. So we decided to hold on to that one and then sell the County Mountie chassis, which is actually the concussion chassis.
I mean, pretty much your Quadzilla is pretty much up to date and it's kind of new with all the changes and stuff like that. And another truck that you really put your hands on to help out was the Stomper truck. I guess that had some major changes to it too. And when you were at the Fort Wayne show and you saw the truck perform, what would you? I mean, it looked like it was the truck just looked like it was on stout.
Yeah, Dalton asked me to come up and help him a little bit on that chassis, and so we went up there and helped him change a few things and strengthen up some components we thought need to be a little bit beefier, and they did an awesome job of putting that thing back together. It really, up at Fort Wayne, the first show up there, that was the first time I got to see it all put back together, and they did a really, really nice job of doing that thing. It's a nice piece, and I mean he's going to be running pretty hard this year, I can tell you.
Nice. Well, I got some fan questions here, and one of them was Devon Treat. He was asking us what's our favorite monster truck from the early years of monster trucks. I'll go with you, Roger, and then I could probably answer back.
My favorite truck of early years, no doubt, Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, that was mine too. I liked Bigfoot 4 or 7. My other truck that I liked was Rambo. I followed them a lot, especially because Rambo was there a lot during my time living in Virginia. But he asked also another question. This is just for you only. He asked, what's your thoughts on Jim's final drive in Bigfoot on July 8th at the open house? And are you going to the open house?
Am I going to the open house? That's possibly in the works. It's not nothing definite yet, but we're looking at possibly going to the open house. We're actually going to be kind of over in that area, and I've never been. I've always wanted to go, but so that is going to be Jim's last run. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, his last car crush.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad to. Yeah, I definitely want to be there for that, because I mean those guys. I've been around watching them guys for many, many years, and that's going to be an exciting time for him. I know that.
Now, let's talk about that. I think that's a strong statement to get asked by both Everett Jasmer and Team Bigfoot to represent their teams during the time period of 5, 6, 7 years of the chance to do that. What does that tell you? That tells me a lot about how you are. You're awesome. You're a gentleman person, and stuff like that. But how is that the honor for you to represent two awesome name monster truck teams?
It's kind of I've been very blessed, to be honest about it. They when this opportunity here come along, it just kind of blew me away, and I thought, man, this is pretty good. That I've run two of the, as far as I'm concerned, the original monster trucks, and get the opportunity to do that. It's just to be honest with you, it means the world to me. It really does. I've been doing this for 32 years, and actually July 3rd will be 32 years that I've been doing this, and to get to run two names like that is just never in my wildest dreams did I ever think anything like that would ever happen to me. I mean, I've worked hard all through the years, trying to keep our team going, keep it, the best equipment that I could financially put underneath us to run. And then to get these two opportunities like this, it's amazing that it's gone this far. And I am so appreciative the opportunities that I've been given. It's awesome.
It's crazy and stuff like. I mean, that's not crazy, but that's awesome. You know what I mean? And so, you kept it under wraps, for a while, but the debut of that foot truck on that chassis, it looks pretty good. The paint was awesome. The detail paint. Someone mentioned about, I think you're rocking a Ford motor in that truck also, so it matches matches everything, you know what I mean? So were you nervous on how people will react to it? You're very, very fine to the T, let's just say, on detail on the truck, and the truck has a lot of good detail touches. What was your game plan on the Bigfoot truck?
The way this thing worked out is unbelievable. We actually went over, my wife Kathy and I went over to St. Louis and picked up the body and brought it home. And we started, the guys come down and started helping me get the body put on the chassis. And when we first set the cab on there, it was like, wow, this kind of matches pretty good right here, and that, when we first put the cab on, and then we started putting the bed sides on and stuff like that. And the more pieces we added, you could just see it coming together. And the paint scheme of the truck and the way the chassis and stuff is, and the colors in the chassis, and the shock, the color of the shocks, the color of the sway bar arms and stuff like that. And then the sway bar link arms that go down to the axles. Those are all, those are red, you know what I'm saying? And the sway bar arms are blue. It's just, everything just fell together. It's like that body was meant to be put on that chassis. And it's amazing how well it just all fit together.
Yeah, that's, so it came all together, Fort Wayne, a legendary show in general, the War Memorial. And, there was a lot of other trucks debuting that weekend also. That was a big event for both you guys, for everyone. It looked like a good turnout. It looked like a good event. What was your thoughts on the Fort Wayne event?
I thought it was a really, really good show. JR, I know, put a lot of time and a lot of money into promoting that show along with the Coliseum. I think it worked out very, very well. And there was a lot of new trucks, debuted there. you think about it that they just redone the Stomper truck like you were talking about. The Kaisers had just redone a bunch of the stuff on the American Scout truck. You were talking about the Borders earlier. Don was there, and I think he drove one show, I believe, and then Thomas drove the other truck in that show, and then actually Jasmine, Thomas's daughter, drove in the evening show. So so in that truck there was they're one of their newer trucks too. They switched some bodies and stuff around, new paint schemes and stuff, and those all look good and performed very well. And then you got a couple of the other guys were there, and they come out with their new trucks and everything, and it was really an awesome show. It really was. It was a good time, and I think the fans had a good time.
Man, that's like the way it goes, and I wish I was there, and I'm very intrigued. I'm trying to get my bosses to help me out and go to one of those shows or drive one at the event. But before I ask more questions, I got to thank more of my sponsors that helps us out in this podcast, and that's Justin Stories. And go take a look at his book, Making Tracks. It's on Amazon, or message him on Facebook. Also, another group that helps out with our podcast is JB Scale Graphics, officially licensed by Bigfoot, Overkill, Obsessed, and Bad Habit. Go take a look at his stuff. He does flags. Now starting to do bodies for Pro 4s, Ultra 4, all them, and we'll be doing more works in the future for JB Scale Graphics. So you're coming around the t-shirt idea. There's some cool ideas coming around too, and having the championship names in the past. Your name there. Once again, Darren Miguez and Scott Hartsock with those legendary names with U.S. champions. Man, that's gotta be a pretty cool feeling.
Yes, it was awesome. And that actually, I was up at that Fort Wayne show. I don't know if you've seen it on our Facebook page, but I actually did a write-up on there about how that took place, because I didn't even know. We thought we were up pretty close, high on the points. But I didn't know that we'd actually won it until JR actually showed me the shirt. He showed me the front of the shirt and then turned around and showed me the back of the shirt and had my name on it again. I thought, really? I was surprised because he hadn't said anything to me about it. So that was a big surprise that weekend for me. And then it was a great feeling, to be up there running and representing the Bigfoot organization. And then, when JR gave me that shirt, had my name on the back of it for the third time, that made me feel really, really good.
Man, that's pretty cool. And right now we got some, let's see here. A lot of people are thanking you. Scott Dudley, you part of the, Shredder Reptoid team. He said, you're one of the nicest, humble people in the sport. The Bigfoot deal couldn't be happier. It couldn't happen to a better guy. And he said, congrats, Roger. Alan Fitzmaker is on too. He's looking forward to seeing everyone at the open house. Got another question from I think Devon. He said one more question. What do you think? Let's see here. He said, what do you think of the beautiful Bigfoot clone that was built for Bigfoot 1 that was featured for Take This Job and Shove It? I don't know if you knew anything about Bigfoot clone. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know. But Lee Plato from out west, he said those C10 bodies are a challenge to see out of. I wish I could, see the difference and stuff like that. But the body changes the cab that I'm inside the Raminator truck, I think I could see pretty good out of it. So, so you're getting ready this season. Where can people? You have your schedule all ready to go and stuff like that?
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of the stuff we're doing for Full Throttle, the majority of our schedule looks like is Full Throttle now. We're doing select events with the Bigfoot body. There is a few shows that we have that we will be running the bootlegger body on. So it's not a total thing that we're running Bigfoot at every event. We're going to run the bootlegger. I think there's 7 or 8 of the shows that we're running the bootlegger body. But it's going to be a very interesting summer.
Right on. You know, and you know the cool thing is like you know, you have the history with Quadzilla. Is Quadzilla ever gonna make an appearance back?
Well, there's been some talk about that. It's a very good possibility. It's a very good possibility.
Yeah,
that may be back around.
How about bad news? I guess not really because of Brandon DeRoe's team. That'd be too familiar with, you know, that. You know, a lot of teams are coming up with recreations of their old trucks and stuff like that, like Vodders and all that. So, I mean, are you planning on maybe building a clone Bad News truck just for historical purposes?
No, I don't think so. Not at this time. I have heard where that truck is setting.
Okay.
So there's been some talk about that, but as we're speaking right now, there is no plan as far as me to rebuild that chassis or anything like that. Not saying it wouldn't happen. It's just right now we got a lot of other bigger things going on right now for our team, and I'm type of guy that I try to stay really focused on what we have to do. And I don't like spreading myself too thin and get too many projects going, because then I don't feel like we're staying up on our A game where we need to be, especially in a position that we're in right now. So I haven't even thought a whole lot recently about doing that. But there has been some talk about the Quadzilla name. And I've been thinking, like I said, we've found out where the Bad News truck is at. So there may be something in the works on that down the road. But as of right now, there's not.
Gotcha. You know, we'll go back maybe last year or 2 years ago. How did you come up with the works on getting Mike Wine behind the wheel of your one of your trucks?
Well, Mike, we've seen Mike at one of the shows. I can't remember where we've seen him at or talked to him off and on. And yeah, he did a show with us up in Michigan. He did a show up there with us and drove the truck and everything up there. But he did a good job with it. We just, kind of moved on from there. And like I said, then we've had some engine problem with the truck and what have you. And we had to pull the motor back out of it and do some stuff like that. But there was just some issues going on with the chassis and the truck and stuff. So he did that one event up there with us. But it was a good deal. It was a good deal.
And then Joshua here asked, Roger, who are some of your biggest mentors in the business?
Wow. Well, I'm going to say the biggest one for me is probably Bob Chandler, because the first time I seen Bigfoot was when it had the 48-inch tires on it. And I think that was around 78, maybe something like that. There was a local, Chandler Motorsports Park, which is about an hour, half hour, 45 minutes up the road here from us. They had a big mud ball park up there. And I heard this guy was coming over with this big, huge pickup truck, and he was going to run over these cars. And so I found out about it, and we went up there to watch it. And that's the first time I seen anybody run over a set of cars like that. And I remember, I was a kid, and I was just so excited to come back home and remember saying something to my dad. I said, "You wouldn't believe what this guy did with his truck. He just drove over top of them cars." And back then that we were driving, when, Bob was doing it, he was driving over the, long ways over the car, starting like at the trunk and driving over long ways rather than hitting them from the side and everything. And he just literally, with the 48-inch tires, he just drove right over that thing. And I was amazed and couldn't believe it, and I thought that's pretty cool. One of these days I'm going to have me one of them. And I've been lucky enough to have a couple of them. So,
yeah.
So to answer your question, I'd probably have to say Bob Chandler and probably Dennis Anderson.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that, you come around full circle. Would you ever thought that you'd be representing the Bigfoot team and in 2023, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a really, really good feeling. And back years ago, and I just thought of this, talking about the watching Bob run over them cars with the 48-inch tires on Bigfoot. Back when I first got started, it was in '91, and my wife and Kathy and I got married, and we went down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee for our honeymoon. And she knew that then I was going to buy a monster truck. And I said, well, that's good. I said, we're going to Gatlinburg. I said, so there's a monster truck show over in Kingsport, Tennessee. I said, so we're going to go over and watch that monster truck show one night. And I said, one of the trucks I'm thinking about buying is, going to be over running. And so we went over and got to see it. And she always teased me while we were there. I was always at the shows before the trucks got there, and I helped them guys tire up and everything. And we'd be the last ones to leave, But that's the way you learn. You got to get in there and get your feet wet, and everybody's got to start somewhere, and that's where I started.
And Alan mentioned saying he had kind of the same story about Bob. Saw him in Philadelphia Spectrum in 1985. I was 12 at the time. And then when you're talking about your honeymoon and getting married, you got one of the trucks. And one of the guys, Joshua, just asked, what was your first show like?
My first show? My wife said over here, she started laughing. Pretty much a disaster. We did the first show. We actually, it's funny because the first show we did was up at Chandler Motorsports Park, where I originally seen Bob. This was at the Circle Track. They had a drag strip, a mud ball park, and then a circle track. And we went up there for the circle track, and they were going to put cars out in there. We were going to do that. It was going to be our first show. Well, they asked me to bring the truck up there the week prior just to get everybody, see the truck. And we didn't tire it up or anything. We just had it on the trailer. And so that was the first time we had it up there. And then we took it home. And then the next week we went up. And I believe that's the week where we were getting ready to run, and it started raining. And it rained and rained and rained. And it rained so bad, it rained everything out. So we were out standing in about 4 inches of water, taking the tires off the truck. And then, then I think finally the third time we were up there, we actually got to run the truck. So we went around, they were going to have me do the pace lap for the circle track cars. So I was going to be the pace truck for the one lap of the circle track cars. Made one lap, made one lap around the track. And on the backstretch, broke a transmission.
Oh my!
Had to get towed off the track. Got towed off the track. So we're outside the circle track on the backstretch, trying to get transmission changed in. So finally, we got the transmission changed in it. And I think that was the first time that I actually run. It was like 3 times we'd been up there. I think the third time I finally was able to go over a set of cars, and it was a learning experience, to be honest about it. It was a good time. It was just something different, It was really happy to be a part of it.
You're not the only one that had your first time falling on your face, and the brothers, Mark and Tim, has told me a story about how they bought the tank, they put the tank together, never went over any cars, didn't even drive around the block. And gets called by Rev, I guess, the promoter up in Wisconsin. And he asked the brothers if they have driven the tank before. And they said, yeah, we have driven it plenty of times. To a point where they're like, well, we got to practice. And when they practiced, they broke the transmission on the tank also. And they had they had to miss the first event because of damage to the tank. It was crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know how that feeling goes, but like I said, you learn from everything. Every time you make a mistake like that, you learn from it and everything. But I mean, they were new transmissions and stuff. We just when I bought that truck, it had a 350 small block engine in it. That truck weighed a little over 12,000 pounds. Something about the bad news truck. It weighed a little over 12,000 pounds. And had a 600 horse, I believe, 350 small block in it, in the old 2.5 ton transfer case and stuff like that. So we actually took that truck when I bought it and brought it home. I worked on it for several months, maybe almost a year before we ever did anything with that truck. because I knew it was under horsepower. So I found a guy that built me a Chevrolet, big block Chevrolet to put in it. We put the Turbo 400 behind it, and I dropped the big 2.5 ton military transfer case out of it, put a Profab quick change in it. When I actually bought the truck, another monster truck had landed, hit it on the side, on the driver's side. So the cab and the bed sides and stuff was damaged on it. And so I replaced a bunch of them parts, cab corners, bed sides, stuff like that, and changed, the angles of the drive shafts and stuff like that to make it work, change some of the leaf springs and stuff, trying to get that truck to work the best it could. But it turned out to be a pretty nice piece. I think when we got done with it, we were happy with it.
Any social media people can follow you at?
Yeah, we're on Facebook under Gallagher Motorsports. They're on Instagram and also the YouTube channel. We got a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube channel. So there's 3 ways right there. And our website is Gallagher, www.gallaghermotorsports.com.
And Josh was asking, was Roger running Quadzilla when Don King was running Barefoot? ? Any good Don King stories?
Yes, there is. I actually did run that chassis with Don King when he was running Barefoot. We when was running with Don King I got along with Don really, really well. He's was a great guy. Did a lot of shows with him, and we got to where Don, after the events and stuff, a lot of times he'd take the drivers and crew and stuff out for a meal that evening or what have you, and we got to talking that it depended on it didn't take us long. We started teasing Don about how the show went, because he was promoting the shows and stuff like that also, because we knew if it was a good show, he would take us out for supper. If it wasn't such a good, profitable show, we had hamburgers or hot dogs, whatever was left over from the concessions. So we always teased him about that. It was a great experience running with him. It really was. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good stories about Don and what he did and stuff like that, and that was pretty cool. I didn't know that that other Quadzilla that he had that toured with him. I didn't know you were the one behind the wheel of that Quadzilla.
Yeah, I don't know which one you're talking about, because we had the original Quadzilla was the one that had the dinosaur painted on the side of it.
Yeah.
Okay, the green dinosaur type character painted on the side of it. And then that was Quadzilla 1, and then we come out with Quadzilla 2, which was the Ford Super Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I may have run both of them with him. I'm trying to remember for sure, but I may have had both of them running with Don at the time.
Gotcha. Well, Roger, we're gonna let you go here, man. But thank you for being on. I love to catch up with you back, like in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, and see you around. I love hanging out, talking to you and your wife, and it's just really awesome time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to be on here. Great to talk to you again. And I want to thank you for having a show like this, the podcast and stuff like you do. There's a lot of people that, need to tune into some of this stuff, because you see a lot of the guys, the older drivers and stuff like that are on here. I know you have people on here all the time, and it's a good opportunity for them to get to talk and maybe ask questions and stuff to them. So I want to thank you for all you do and for all you've done with the sport to help the sport and everything like you have. I appreciate it, and thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very humbling. We started this thing, back in 2000. Well, it was 14, but I was working for Feld for a little bit. So we got the ball rolling around 17, and we've been trying to go nonstop for this and try to keep everyone entertained and just talk to everyone throughout the whole monster truck industry. It was cool that we got the Monster Jam blessing, so we could talk to drivers and stuff like that too, because they understand that we're not here to cause any controversy or anything like that, and want people to have a good time and listen and hear stories and stuff like that. But once I gotta thank two more sponsors. Hall Brothers Racing, they sponsor our decals, or what they say in Canada, decals, and also Mark Warner, his company MW Entertainment. Go take a look at his stuff also. 6B Apparel, some hoodies, $100 a pop. also our crew shirts. So go take a look at that stuff too. But Roger, thank you again. If you go on their social media, find out if you're around, go see a Full Throttle Monster Truck show. If you want the taste of what monster trucks, that's just that little piece of pie of the olden days of the nostalgia and the way a good time was. Just a bunch of good old boys driving their monster trucks around and kicking butt and taking names, and just a good family entertainment for anyone that's local around the Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois, I think Ohio. Am I missing any more states? Do you guys do stuff in Michigan?
I don't think JR has been doing Full Throttle has been doing any stuff in Michigan up to this point.
So it's
I'm not saying it
Kentucky,
won't happen.
Indiana, and Illinois, pretty much, right?
Yeah, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio.
And Ohio. Okay. So if you guys have a chance, for me personally, I would love to do that with, talk to Tim and try to talk to JR and maybe have a Raminator there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Just the ground roots. I always thought the I'm trying to think of the word. I think Full Throttle has stuff that is a missing piece on today's major monster truck stuff. And I think if they went back and looked and watched, I think it's okay. It's great. So I would love the be like that. Alan said nostalgia. I would say that. Just the racing looks good. You guys are not destroying, the trucks, like, other promoters, and stuff like that. And that's cool. You can do a good show without, destructive criticism, I guess.
Right.
And I like that. And I like that a lot. So, once again, if you guys have a chance to go see their show, go ahead and see that. Like I said, it's a good time and everything like that. So, once again, Roger, thank you for being on. And hopefully see you down the road. And fans, if you're around, like I said, around that area, go take a look at him and Bigfoot and him and Bootlegger. Actually, it's County Mountie or Bootlegger.
It'd be Bootlegger.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get so confused. I didn't want to get confused about that.
Right.
So it's Bootlegger. So like he said, Bigfoot will be in select shows, mostly a lot of the Full Throttle monster truck shows, or if Bigfoot needs a truck at another event. But outside of that, Bootlegger will be at the events, and still it's Roger. I'll go see your event if you're around. I always try to schedule to go see Tower Hope, but I'm doing something else. So, but once again, Roger, thank you for being on, and I do appreciate you being on also, and being patient with the technical difficulties I was having. Curse Frontier all day long, but once again, it's always been great talking to you in general. I always chat with you on the phone anyway, so thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Well, folks, that was Roger Gallagher, and I'm Dan Agosh. Next week is going to be a very touching moment. I'll post this on Tuesday, or actually on Wednesday, because I'm going to put this episode tomorrow on the podcast on iTunes and Spotify. But we're going to have Cameron Miguez on, and we're going to do an episode honoring Tim Mente. I should have done a moment of silence for him, but when I said we're doing an episode for him next week, it's all about Tim. We're going to have people on. We're going to put on, if anyone wants to come on, talk about Tim's story, they're more welcome to. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. So once again, folks, next week is going to be an honor and a celebration of Tim Mente and the Storm Damage team. Anything before we go about Tim, Roger, that you want to say? If you've done shows and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I have did shows and stuff with those trucks and stuff and those guys, and they were a great group of people. And Tim was a really good person, funny guy. You know, he had a lot of funny stories and stuff that he'd tell you. But he's our hats are off to those people. You know what I'm saying? They're needing everybody's prayers, thoughts, and prayers right now with all that's going on there and everything. And you know, we want to share our condolences to everybody, on that team and their family and everything. And really sorry to hear their loss, but he's looking down on us. He's looking down on us, and he's going to let us know what's going on.
I have a buddy of mine. He's trying to make a mural right now, and he has a mural right now, both Storm Damage and Gunslinger crushing cars, and then you see in the background, kind of fade to the back, but you can definitely see like Jesse Burgess playing for keeps, and like Wildfire by Calvin Harrington, stuff like that. And it's like, and then you see the announcer is George Eisenhart from the Monster National. It's like when it's done, it will hit a lot of people with a painting. And what he, people always talk about how the wrestling guys are, up in heaven and stuff like that, wrestling and stuff like that. And this is his version of monster trucking. So right now, both Tim and Scott are both doing their wheelie contest right now and trying to get that points and stuff like that. But if you want to go on next week, you're more welcome to, Roger. We're going to do a open door policy and stuff like that for anyone that wants to be on for next week for Tim's episode. And we'll just honor him and just have a good time and talk and stuff like that. So once again, Roger, thank you again. For the 15 minutes left on this episode that we had, it's basically been thank you for being on.
Yeah.
So
go check out our website. There's a lot of our shows and stuff are listed on our website.
So before we go, I have another one. Can we go on your website for Bigfoot merchandise, or they have to go in the Bigfoot shop for that?
They will have to go through Bigfoot shop to do that.
Okay.
But the shows, as far as our show schedule and stuff like that, it's all listed on our website. But any merchandise, anything like that, they'll need to go through Bigfoot.
All right, but you can, if you go to a show with your truck there will be.
Yes, there is Bigfoot merchandise there for sale at our events. Yes.
Okay, so if anyone's interested, if they're wondering about that, yes, you see Roger in the Bigfoot truck, there will be there, and then obviously there is going to be some bootlegger merchandise when you have bootlegger, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool deal. Well, once again, Roger, thank you for being on, and fans, take a look at our spread shop for t-shirts and whatnot, and much love. So once again, thank you for everyone that's been helping us out, sponsors and stuff like that. So like Brad always says, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Peace.